The Minnesota Vikings find themselves atop the NFC North with the Detroit Lions once again after dog-walking the Chicago Bears. We're going to be talking about some major updates the Vikings have here and what we've noticed in this game. And, of course, as we see, Let's Moss Cancer. That's what I wanted to talk about first before we get into this. That's why I put this as the intro video. We love you, Randy Moss. Hope all is well. Hope we heal up, and hopefully we see you soon once again. But let's get into this video, Griffen, because we have a lot of stuff now. Before we do, though, actually, we know that 91% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Minnesota Vikings news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join us here on the channel. We're covering everything Minnesota Vikings, and once again, we are tied atop the NFC North after locking the Bears in the cage once again and blowing them out, this time handedly. We've seen a lot of excellent things here in this game, and a lot of things that are really going to spark some interesting things as the weeks come on and we head closer to the playoffs. After now guaranteed to clinch the playoffs as well, I should mention, Sam Darnold didn't have his best game here, but the fact that we're seeing him throw the most pass attempts so far this season for the Vikings, 24 attempts, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not really the best stat line for Sam Darnold, but the fact that we're looking at these stats here, 7 receptions apiece for Addison and Jefferson, 5 for Hawkinson, a touchdown for Jefferson, and really the ball being spread around everywhere with Aaron Jones throwing in a mix of having a touchdown, a catch, some carries. Same thing for Cam Akers. This offense still seemed to be rolling, even while Sam Darnold is not on his best game, but the fact that we're seeing this against the Bears, still not the greatest team, but the fact we're seeing this with the season progressing, this is something very important, Griffen, that we've been really being able to have the privilege of watching for Sam Darnold and this Vikings team. So, first of all, what do you think about this game? What did you think about the pretty interesting offense that we blew out the Bears? But this offense really didn't seem on paper to have the best game.
Yeah, when you look at that, if that was any other quarterback or for any other game with Sam Darnold's stat line, you'd look at that and think, okay, they were in a shootout or they were playing from behind and having to sling the thing. It wasn't a case of that. It was just more of a case of the Vikings just had the ball so much because they were so efficient at stopping the Bears on 3rd and 4th down that the ball was almost constantly getting punted back to them. So it wasn't a matter of the Vikings had to pass so much. Yes, they found themselves in a lot of big 3rd and longs and they were able to convert those. That's largely where a lot of those pass attempts came from, was the 2nd and 3rd down, 3rd and long plays where they couldn't establish the run as much. And establishing the run was a bit of a struggle for Minnesota early on until Aaron Jones was able to break open in the second half, and then Cam Akers kind of brought it home at the end. So it was nice to see those two guys kind of form a little bit of a running back tandem as we go over these last few weeks, and that the Vikings are kind of hitting their stride right now. We finally have a convincing win that we've been waiting to have, whether it was where we wanted it against Tennessee, we wanted it against Jacksonville, we didn't entirely get it. This was finally a game where this morning I was looking at the score going, was it really that big of a blowout? Is the score really that indicative of it? And then thinking back on the game, yeah, that second half, we just had full control of that game and we just made sure they couldn't generate any offense whatsoever. So yeah, we dominated time of possession. That's largely why Sam just was throwing the ball a lot, is because we had the ball so much and we're consistently in 3rd and long. But other than that, I think he had more of his game manager type game, the only type of game manager game we've seen from him. Large part, he's just slinging it and taking control of the game. But he was able to spread it out. Lots of guys got their touches. Lots of guys got looks. And that's what you want to see, is them spread the ball around, get a big win. Not a big win as far as in terms of the team that you beat, but a big win as far as point margin, and doing that to a team that you should be able to do that to. Bring that confidence into next week against Seattle. If Geno isn't playing, that's when you feast on him and carry that momentum into 2 massive games against Green Bay at home, and then for Detroit, where hopefully if we can take care of Green Bay, it's for all the marbles at the end of the year.
Absolutely. And another thing I kind of wanted to really talk about for Sam Darnold wise is that we're very late in the season, and there's no doubt we've already clinched the playoffs before this game, and we still see Sam Darnold throw his season high in pass attempts in this game. That's a very not a redeeming factor. That's a very just nice thing to see. We're still seeing Sam Darnold put the work in, go out, not take any breaks, not really going to take a rest. He's still fighting for that number 1 spot in the NFC, and especially the NFC North with a tight battle, as you mentioned, between the Packers, the Lions now being tied with us. He wants this, and we know Sam Darnold, in his career, he's had a lot of ups and downs, but he is on a very, very big up right now, and he wants to only keep on going up. But another factor, of course, in this game was Will Riker. 3 for 3 on the field goals, 3 for 3 on the extra points. Very good to see him back healthy, and we really saw the struggles that he had when he was injured. But seeing this, back to what we were, back to the Will Reichard we know, back to the Will Reichard we drafted, this is what we've been waiting for, and this is another big part, a really sneaky part as well, of what's going to lead the Vikings to the promised land, and what's going to lead the Vikings to having these games that you can win by 3-6 points without, needing a touchdown necessarily. And not many teams will have the privilege of having this, having a player like this, having a kicker especially like this, that you can rely on in any given scenario. But we can't just give the players this game. We have to consider Kevin O'Connell, and of course, my coach of the year, Kevin O'Connell. Now, of course, he is not named the coach of the year yet, but what we've seen, he is now favorited. He is now my favorite for coach of the year, as he has been for quite some time, but now I can actually confidently say that this is his year for coach of the year. And Griffen, I know we had a long conversation about this before we started this video, about why or why not this might be a pretty interesting idea, but this is something I wanted to touch on. Here what you have from Albert Breer says, tonight Kevin O'Connell got to 12 wins for the second time in 3 years, becoming just the second coach to hit 12 wins twice in franchise history. Bud Grant was first, and if Minnesota wins next week, he'll become the first Vikings coach ever to have multiple 13-win seasons in his third season as head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. He's already on the brink of getting to this stat, and this record, this franchise record. And going into the season, I won't lie, I did not think the Vikings were going to be this good. I was really hoping for just an increase of what we've seen last season, a better season, something just to kind of, show that we're getting better. But what we're seeing right now is something special, and that is thanks to Kevin O'Connell, what he's been able to do with this offense, what he's been able to do to Sam Darnold, what he's been able to do to everybody on this team. So, Griffen, is he your coach of the year? What do you think about this? Of course, there are some stats that show that he might not want to be, but what do you think about it?
It's amazing that he's just in the running and has been all season. And I think with the way that Minnesota has played these past few weeks, and then with Dan Gamble's onside kick that they tried to do too early in the fourth quarter against Buffalo, I think that almost has it solidified for now that Kevin O'Connell is the NFL coach of the year. But as far as if I want him to win it, I don't necessarily want him to win it just because, like we talked about before we started rolling, where if you look at the history of the past 5 or so coach of the years, you have Brian Daboll, Matt Nagy, Mike Vrabel, and then Kevin Stefanski twice. Those aren't, yes, John Harbaugh is in there, but he already won a Super Bowl before winning that. But those other guys, none of them really had successful seasons after they won Coach of the Year. Kevin Stefanski winning it last season, I don't even think he was worthy of winning it last season. I think them giving it to him twice in that many years is just insane when he didn't really have many games and wins to show for it. I do say that a bit more, like we're bitter Vikings fans that he left us when he did, but he tried to find greener pastures, did not find it. Got him some trophies, but hasn't translated into wins. That's what Kevin O'Connell is doing, as trying to be that modern day version of Bud Grant, where we've been through the Dennis Green era. We've been through the Leslie Frazier, Brad Childress, Mike Zimmer, and now we have Kevin O'Connell, where this is honestly one of the most confident regimes that I've seen as far as from a coaching standpoint and a general manager standpoint, as far as trusting in what they're doing, instilling confidence in not just the stars, but each and every player so that they can feel like they are ready to go each and every week. Like I said, that's exactly what you want in a coach. But do I necessarily want him to win because of the Coach of the Year curse, much like the MVP curse, where Patrick Mahomes is the only exception, unfortunately? That is my only worry with it. But other than that, yes, he is the NFL Coach of the Year right now.
That's a fair point as well. Whether or not he actually is named or not, that'll be just to be said. But there's no doubt in my mind that he is the Coach of the Year, at least in my opinion, and for, I would say, just about every Vikings fan on the planet. But I do have a few more screenshots kind of going over really why he's named the Coach of the Year, in my opinion. It says, all things considered, it's going to be hard to argue against Kevin O'Connell for Coach of the Year. His QB got hurt in the preseason. His second best player has been gone since midseason. He's in the hunt for the 1 seed while reviving Sam Darnold's career. Special stuff. And of course, the injuries that we've had, having Will Reichard gone, having Sam Darnold step in the late part of the preseason, having TJ Hawkinson gone until midseason. There have been so many obstacles that this team has had, yet still stayed on such a steady pace because of Kevin O'Connell. He's just lining up a very, very good resume for Coach of the Year, and especially in this season. And, there's so many opportunities for him to really just, make the right play, and he's done so every single time. And we see, Dan Campbell make a lot of risky plays, Some of them have worked. We've seen that one not work, as you mentioned, the onside kick at, 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Dan Campbell's really lucky on those plays. Let's not get it wrong. The Lions are a good team. Yeah, they're a great team, whatever. But the fact that he's making all these plays, he's not the one that's going out there and making the plays. He's getting lucky those plays are happening, and if he could be 0 for 15 on those plays, and, his odds would be completely down the gutter. So that may just be a bit of a salty Vikings fan there, but, in my opinion, this is the case. As you see, Kevin O'Connell, favorite for NFL head coach of the year. This is what we need to see. The three best is one of the three best coaches in the league, helping transform Minnesota's organization to an elite level with a real quarterback guru at the helm. Kevin O'Connell is special, and as you mentioned, Griffen, as well as what we've been talking about for pretty much the whole season, what Sam Darnold has done is special, but it's him and Kevin O'Connell holding that down, and it is to be seen what he does with Daniel Jones, that we're going to be talking about at a later date, but that's for, as I mentioned, another one. So, Griffen, this is what we're seeing right now. Kevin O'Connell is our QB of the year, or QB. Well, technically, I guess we can call him that as well. Head coach of the year, but hopefully, or maybe not, we don't really see him as the official coach of the year. But you got anything before we finish this one off, Griffen?
I'm just, like you said earlier in this video, with the Vikings, how they've looked this year, no one was expecting them to look this good. I knew that with the talent that we had, we were probably going to be above 500, but I didn't expect it at all like this. I am at a loss for words, honestly, with how Kevin O'Connell has kind of turned this around with what situation he was brought into, changing the identity of this Vikings team. And like watching his locker room speech last night, and like I have so much throughout this season, you watch those, he makes you want to run through a brick wall. That's what you want in a coach. And he has definitely been one of those top 3 coaches, and he definitely deserves every accolade that he's getting. I just hope that they can carry this momentum forward into the postseason, because like I said to you before we started rolling, I don't want this season to amount to another NFC Championship loss in Philadelphia, or an even more heartbreaking loss to a division rival like the Detroit Lions, who have been so bad for so long. And this is the last thing we need, is to be a victim of their Cinderella season, coming back to power for the first time, really, when we are now on the up and up with a very special team with a lot of one-year contracts that we need to make count.
Exactly. I completely agree with everything that you just had to say there, but let us know in the comments below. Who is your coach of the year? Do you think it's Kevin O'Connell? Do you think it's someone else? And if it's someone else, it's Kevin O'Connell. You're wrong. But all jokes aside, that's all we got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But we got a lot of Minnesota Vikings news coming out as we head closer to the playoffs, so you're not going to want to miss what we have to bring you guys. But that's all we got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.